We use the term mensch kind of loosely, but he truly is and deserves the Dick Steinberg Award because he is a true mensch, as we'll hear and see in just a moment. I'd like to have Mr. Melson join us up here to receive the Dick Steinberg Good Guy Award, along with Tom Rosen from our committee, as we learn more about Boyd Melson.
The National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame presents Boyd Melson with the 2013 Dick Steinberg Good Guy Award. For a boxer, the words, "He fought a good fight," can have many meanings, but whether the outcome is good or bad, it means that the boxer gave it his all inside the ring. For American light middleweight boxer Boyd Melson, those words have rung true his entire life, whether in the ring or out. And as a matter of fact, those words can be said about his whole family. Boyd's maternal grandparents were Holocaust survivors. The tough 5'10" boxer with the moniker Rainmaker took to the sport as a cadet at West Point, and his storied career took off from there. Melson was a four-time United States Army champion and gold medalist at the All Armed Forces Boxing Championships. He received the Colonel Marcus Award at his West Point graduation, which is presented to the best West Point boxer. He graduated the academy as a lieutenant, and 3 years later was promoted to the rank of captain. Boyd turned professional boxer in 2010, and has had an extremely good career, with only one controversial loss so far. But it is Boyd's moves outside of the ring that makes him unique. All the money and proceeds earned from his fights go to a cause which is tougher than any boxing match he could ever have. The money he earns is donated to stem cell research in the hopes someday of finding a cure for paralysis. He met his best friend, Christine Zacagino, while a senior at West Point, and has dedicated his life to try and help her and others wheelchair-bound because of spinal cord injuries. He has created Team Fight to Walk to make people more aware of the importance of stem cell research. Boyd's team includes many boxers, as well as former Rutgers University football player Eric LeGrand, who was paralyzed during a game. Boyd, who fights with the Star of David on his trunks, is as dedicated to his faith as he is to his boxing career, and he is determined to reach for the stars in both. It is truly amazing the passion Boyd has for his cause. He promises not to stop until a cure is found. And we are proud to honor the commitment and dedication of Boyd Melson with the 2013 Dick Steinberg Good Guy Award.
Let's have a round of applause for Boyd Melson, our Dick Steinberg Award winner. Boyd?
So I have to thank you, of course, first and foremost. And before I get into thanking my individual people, a few corrections. I'd love to be 5'10", but I'm not. Best day of my life, I haven't been 5'10". But I'll take it. And Team Fight to Walk is founded by Kristen Zaccagnino over there along with me, not just me. She carries much more of the burden of the brunt of the burden than I do. And it's for spinal cord injury research. Very important. The clinical trial that we are donating and raising funds towards, it's using umbilical cord stem cells, so they are stem cells from the umbilical cord post-birth. However, it is not for stem cell research in that respect. It is for spinal cord injury research, where they're using stem cells as the modality to hopefully get this little angel out of her chair. So, I don't know if many here watched the Real Sports episode. That was HBO Real Sports episode that was just shown the other day, Tuesday, and it's continuing to be shown, that highlighted Kristen and myself. But whether you have or have not, it's a little difficult right now for me to keep receiving awards praising me for doing something that if she was never injured, I probably wouldn't be doing. And I think that it is what every human being should be doing when they see somebody they love hurting. You help. If you can help, you help. The best thing would be if nobody ever got these awards for helping people because nobody needed help. But everybody does. My parents that are over there, First Sergeant retired, Nolan Melson and Annette Melson, raised me, and my uncles who are here and aunties, and my grandparents, where if you see somebody that needs help and you can help them, then you help. It's that simple. I think my brother Rudy Melson out here is the greatest human being I've ever met when it comes to helping people that need help. And it's getting me a little emotional right now thinking about him, especially. I don't know where he's sitting if I point out to the left. I thank you for this. I need people to understand this aspect. This is very important. This clinical trial right now was done by, that we're raising funds for, was completed already in China. They have 2-year data now. The doctor running the trial, who was Christopher Reeve's advisor when Christopher Reeve, Superman, was injured, completed it. His name is Dr. Wise Young. He did it on 20 patients there. 15 out of the 20 patients are walking right now. Again, 15 out of the 20. Of those 15, 3 are walking even without leg braces or a walker or anything, free space. They're walking. He wants to bring us here to the U.S. and do this trial in Mount Sinai and Long Island Jewish and Kessler Rehabilitation Center in the fall, but we don't have enough money raised. We want to do it for 40 patients, and it's $100,000 per patient. He is doing this study in the fall, regardless if he launches here in the United States. He's doing it as well in Sweden and India. They have the funding for it. This is working. We have a nonprofit set up, but they didn't really highlight in the HBO Real Sports episode called justadollarplease.org, where the vision was everybody watching or heard about it gave $1. There's more than enough people in the U.S. In New York, we could potentially fund this cure. Now it is more realistically a cure because we have 15 out of 20 walking. They are walking. It's happening. We're just not putting forward the dollar and passing it forward to somebody else to put forward another dollar to bring it here. This is why I fight. I'll risk my life for this in the ring every time because I can. If I can help, I do it, and that's how I can help. We need people to go to this website and donate. Our charity we set up called Team Fight to Walk has the link. So if you go to teamfighttowalk.com, you'll see the donate. They'll take you to just $1, please. So if it's easier to remember Team Fight to Walk, then that's where you go. We need people to donate so she can be the 16th. We can't do it without help. When you can help people and you see them, they need help, you help. It's that simple. That's why we're here for. We're sharing this planet. And that's all I have, and thank you.
Very inspirational young man. I would like to welcome up some of the very outstanding politicians from the area who have helped the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame throughout our 21-year history. And if he's here today, I'd like to welcome State Senator John Flanagan, Jewish athletes and several Olympic champions. You go back to Mark Spitz, to Lenny Kraselberg, to Darren Torres, to Jason Lezak, and to Jane Katz, all Olympic gold medal winners. And we are delighted to have another one here with us today. And he is a young man who has done something with his life after the world of swimming. And that's our inductee today, Garrett Weber Gale. And I'd like to ask Garrett to join us up here on the podium along with our inductee committee member, Louis Kane, as we learn more about this remarkable young man.
So nice to be here. It's a huge honor for me to be inducted here, but I couldn't be happier to be in New York. The bagels that were here this morning. Living in Austin, Texas, we don't have bagels at all. So I was so happy. And actually, Alan said, hey, we only have like 10 minutes, so I ran back out, got another bagel quick, because I was enjoying it so much. But I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for all the support and for this induction ceremony. As I watch this, I just think back to my early childhood when they said growing up and swimming at Walter Schrader Aquatic Center. That was in Wisconsin, where I'm from. And really, I had no plans of ever going to the Olympics. I love swimming. I love being in the pool. My grandfather swam at Cornell. He was a great athlete, also a great basketball player. My uncle and my mom swam in college. My sister swam in high school, as did I. Played a lot of other sports, but I was just so passionate about swimming, wanted to see how far I could take it, and that excitement and tenacity for the sport is what really helped me fuel on for success. And competing in the Olympics, Jason Lezak and I, we were so proud to be there, so proud to be Jewish and represent our heritage and the people of the Jewish community. I'm super proud to be Jewish. I am actually leaving to go to Israel tonight at 4 o'clock from Newark. I'm going to do a photo shoot and promotional appearance for the Maccabee Games this summer that I'm competing in. I've foregone the opportunity to go to the World Championships this summer in Rome because I want to go to the Maccabee Games. I knew that it was always something that I wanted to do in my career. Jason Lezak and Lenny Grazelberg, who they mentioned before, have gone, and they said it was literally one of the best times of their life. So I always wanted to go experience that. I've never been to Israel. I'm actually just going for 3 days right now, and then I'm going to come back. So it's going to be a short trip, but I'm going for longer. The woman that you saw with me in that picture in the blue dress is here. She's my new fiance. We got engaged on Tuesday night. Her name is Kara. I couldn't be happier that she's here with me. And really, what I always tell people is that when I was on the awards stand in Beijing, I got that gold medal around my neck. And first of all, the most proud moment of my life was graduating the University of Texas. I always knew, somewhat from a young age, then in my high school career, that I could go to the Olympics. I had potential if I worked really hard. But school was always very difficult for me. That I had to dedicate myself, and I worked very hard in school to get A's and B's when other people had a much easier time. But the second best moment of my life was receiving the gold medal for the 400 freestyle relay with Michael, Jason, and Cullen Jones. And when they put that gold medal around my neck, I heard my name yelled out to my right-hand side, and there was my mom and my dad and my sister in the stands. And the look on their face of happiness and excitement and how fulfilled they were, I knew how much time and effort and dedication and money they had spent and all the hard times they had in helping me get to that point. And seeing their faces was the best moment of my athletic career. And when I was standing on that award stand, I thought to myself, this stand isn't big enough for all the hundreds of people who should be standing here right now with me, because that's really what it takes to do something successful. That's what it takes to win an Olympic gold medal. So I always tell kids this when I speak to kids: keep people in your life. We can't do anything successful alone. This is just icing on the cake for me to be here today. It's wonderful to be here with all of you guys. I'm so honored and humbled to be in this ceremony. Thank you, and congratulations to all the other inductees.
We continue to meet exceptional young people. And you know, our slogan, if you see it up on the podium here on the wall, is "The deeds of the past shall inspire the achievements of the future." And that's, as Lynn said, one of the reasons we started this Sports Hall of Fame. I have the pleasure.
I want to accept this award, not in the name of my son alone, but all of his teammates and everybody else who's involved in the field of sport. I think if this world has any future, it lies through sports. There's no one in this room who ever found one athlete from one country who didn't get along well with an athlete from another country. So therefore, I feel that to be a rounded individual, interested in your fellow man, that it's necessary for you to be active in sports. So I want to thank the committee for selecting my son as the representative of everybody who in the future will be part of this world. Thank you.
Dr. Berger, I think, is 97 years old, folks. Let's get a round of applause for the condition that he's in. Our next inductee comes to us from the world of the camera.
It's an incredible honor to be here. This is what Phil Jackson would call a true full circle event. Started out in Brooklyn, went to LA, made a name for myself, and came all the way back. So it's thrilling to be here. I got to thank my family for being here first and foremost. My brother Ben, all the way from California in Oakland. My beautiful sister Dee Dee and her husband David. My brother Richard is here from New Jersey with his son Josh, and my beautiful wife Susu, and one of our 4 kids, Mimi. Hi, Mimi. Mimi asked me last night, Daddy, where are we going tomorrow? And I said, well, Daddy's going to receive an honor. And she said, well, what's an honor? And I said, well, an honor is when people recognize something that you've done over your life. And she said, well, what have you done, Daddy? And I said, well, I've taken a bunch of pictures of some famous people, and they've been published, and tomorrow I'm going to get a recognition for that. So I hope that was a good answer for my little one over there. But this is truly inspiring, honestly, to be in this room at this moment. Our mother, Beverly, was the creative soul in our family, and all of us got our creative energy.
Of basketball and being a terrific executive as an athletic director. You know, back in the late 60s,
that they had the best of us for the first couple of years, but in the end we went out, so I guess it's an even Steven type thing. When I was notified that I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, my first reaction was I was tremendously honored and humbled and proud. My second reaction was I wanted to see who else was in the Hall of Fame, and when I went through all the former inductees, I realized it was kind of a who's who of my life, people that really impacted my life from the time I was a little kid to somebody whose people have been with me through my career. Growing up in Fresh Meadows, New York, my first sports heroes were Dolph Schayes and Sandy Koufax, and I could understand.
Program, you would like to pick it up, because in that program, it really will list all of the former inductee award winners, the inductees, the people who have won our awards as far as the George Young Award. The other awards include, of course, the Dick Steinberg Award and our College and Athlete Awards that'll be coming up. So I invite you to pick up a journal and the magnificent stories of these all, the bobsledding, bodybuilding, boxing, as you've heard, cycling, figure skating, fencing, handball, horse racing, ice hockey, karate, lacrosse, which we, of course, we're proud to have 2 people honored for that today, the photography, racquetball, rugby, skiing, soccer, wrestling, sports writing, tennis, track and field, weightlifting, and wrestling. So 29 different areas are in our Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, and we're so proud of that. And we're proud of our next inductee. We love to have our female athletes represented. We talked about the great swimmer that Garrett was earlier, and we have another swimmer being inducted here today. That's Marilyn Romanowski. And I'd like to invite Marilyn to come to the stage, and Alan Friedman will join us for the presentation. Let's learn more about this wonderful lady as we learn.
Inducting me, for Lynn and Alan and Andy, wherever you are, for being such great hosts. And I get to do this twice because I was invited before as an honoree, so I should know the rules of the game right now. I want to thank my family for coming, my husband John Wingfield, Emma and Anna, and the Siegels for being wonderful hosts, Ralph, Jeannie, Max, and Evan, so thanks so much. It's great to be back in New York, and what I'd like to do in the brief time I have is to kind of give you the long view, because I've kind of been in the business for a while. As the movie indicated, I was a young age group swimmer in the 60s, and I was able to make the 1961 and 65 Maccabiah Games. This was a long time. 61 was still a very dangerous time to be in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and my memories from that period of time were wonderful. And as I've heard the stories from others, going to Israel, being a Maccabiah athlete is a wonderful experience, and I think you're going to have a great time there. I was able to make the U.S. Olympic team. I had a wonderful coach, a rather an innovative coach, Walter Schluter, who really brought me up in a very short period of time. But my long view of my sports career really entails Title IX, because I was a pre-Title IX women's swimmer. And as many of you know, swimming, competing, athletics, academics at that time were very limited, and you really had to do anything at that level before you entered college, because there was no NCAA, there were no opportunities to swim in the national forum. And at the time, it was very, very hard. I love the sport, I still do. But to be able to compete as an athlete, as a woman athlete, those options were closed. And I think that allowed me the chance to find other passions in my life, which I have been able to do and feel very lucky about it, because I've had wonderful professors, wonderful guides. And I've then been able to pursue a study of bird migration, which you might think, well, that's pretty weird. But as I think now, thinking about a swimmer being a body moving through water, it's not that different from a bird moving through a body of air. So I'm able to kind of combine these things. My husband and I are now at the University of California at Davis, and because Davis seems to have a lot of Olympic athletes, I've been working with the PE department, and we offer a course on the history of the Olympics. And one of the photographs up there is with myself and Bill Toomey of
the regular Olympics that year, I should say yes, 1964. Let me check that, 1984, I beg your pardon. That was the year the Olympics were held in Los Angeles. And the games were held here in Mitchell Park, right near the Hofstra University campus. Mitchell Park was built for the Olympics. And one of the things that, as I was working at the games and emceeing the event, that I was struck by the incredible ability of athletes that were competing with disabilities. And our next inductee is one of those special people. I would like to invite up to join us at the podium a young man who is a blind runner and has achieved so much in his life, our next inductee, Richard Bernstein, into our Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, as we learn more about his career and post-running career.
For many people, running a marathon is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, meaning they do it once and can never really see themselves doing it again. Well, can you imagine if the same person had to do it without seeing a single step of where they were going? Many might consider that impossible. Well, for Richard Bernstein, nothing is impossible. Legally blind since birth, Richard has not only run marathons, but also competed in triathlons as well. He has battled the elements and his physical disability all the way, a major accomplishment in itself, but more important are the battles he has fought for others with disabilities, fighting for these legal rights with as much determination as a marathon athlete. A native of Detroit, Bernstein graduated from the University of Michigan and attended the Northwestern University School of Law, graduating in 1999. With his law degree, he began a career fighting for the rights of people with disabilities. He even challenged the Law School Admissions Council in its bias against visually impaired people. He won that case, and when admitted to the university, was the only blind student in law school. As a lawyer practicing in Michigan, Richard is also an adjunct professor at the University of Michigan and has run for the position of Attorney General. all while tirelessly fighting for the rights of people with disabilities, winning numerous cases and motions throughout the United States. Richard has competed in 17 marathons, including New York, Miami, and Jerusalem. He even competed in the Ironman Triathlon in Idaho, which included a 112-mile bike ride, a 26.2-mile marathon, and a 2.4-mile swim, finishing in 14 hours and 36 minutes. At the age of 37, he was the first blind person ever to participate in the Half Israelman Triathlon in Eilat, Israel. Richard has been honored by many organizations for both his work as a lawyer and advocate for the rights of people with disabilities, in addition to his athletic prowess. Some of his proudest moments include being honored by the Michigan Governor's Council on Physical Fitness, as well as receiving the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame Tant Philippus Award for his athleticism despite his disability. Focusing on life at its core is Richard's motto, an ideal that has taken him and others with disabilities to places they have never been before, all because of the hard work of Richard Bernstein.
Let's welcome Richard to the podium. We ask ourselves, why are sports so incredibly important? What role do they play? What impact do they ultimately have on our lives? I have come to believe that athletic competition represents life at its core. It represents life as its essence. It was a cold morning in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, as the starter pistol sounded. Imagine, if you will, what it's like to dive into a frigid body of water, 55 degrees. Imagine what it's like to be swimming in darkness, to have no idea where you started, to have no idea where you're going, to have no idea where you are. Imagine the feeling of being one of the only disabled competitors in this competition and having to get kicked over and over again in the face. Imagine the feeling of trying to rise the service, but being unable to do so because there's another swimmer on top of you. Imagine the sensation you have when the rope that connects you to your guide starts to become a noose, as other athletes become entangled within the rope, and the rope begins to drag you below the surface. You learn something remarkable from athletic competition. As you board your tandem bike for the 112-mile mountain course, and then your 26.2-mile run, you ultimately realize that no matter how challenging, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful life gets, athletics teaches you that you will always have that which you need when you need it the most. You will have no more, but you will always, always have no less. You realize as a blind competitor, the way that we all realize through our competitions, that when you reach mile 20, you realize that even though your body is infirmed, even though your body is mortal, you realize that athletics allows for you to search into your soul. And if given the opportunity, athletics will allow for your soul to rise and carry your body. I conclude with one last story that I believe tells the story of athletics and helps us to understand the answer to why it is that sports and athletics is so incredibly important. As a consultant to the Israeli Defense Forces, it was my job to travel through Israel, using athletics as a model to show base commanders that integration of the forces is possible, that allowing for people with disabilities to serve in the IDF can create greater combat readiness, can create greater morale within the units. So the members of the Kiryas said, in order to make this work, travel the country, do triathlons, do marathons. It will be through sport that you will show that people with disabilities have tenacity. You will show that people with disabilities can make it, can get the job done, can persevere no matter what. It was the day before the Jerusalem Marathon. I remember giving a presentation similar to this. And I remember during the presentation
being able to hear the sound of loudspeakers, hearing the sound of emergency vehicles as they race through the cities, hear the sound of the sirens as it penetrated the silence of the old city. I remember being apprised by the IDF that a bomb had exploded in the heart of downtown Jerusalem. That in fact the marathon, because it was the first ever Jerusalem marathon, was in fact the target. That a pregnant woman from Scotland was killed along with her baby, and 50 other people were horribly injured. We ask ourselves this question: why is athletics so important? Why does it matter? The IDF came to me that day and they said, "Richard, we must be direct with you, for in this part of the world, one attack is usually a precursor to many. We must also be direct with you so you understand that the bomb exploded in the heart of our security perimeter. The Jerusalem Marathon is a 26.2-mile course. We will do our best to secure it, but we can make you no guarantees." But the commander went on to say that this will be the most important thing that you ever do. Sports will be the most important thing at this time, at this moment, at this place for the city of Jerusalem and for the state of Israel. It will allow for people to see strength. It will allow for people to see purpose. And as we ran through the streets of Jerusalem with the IDF and the Israeli journalists and the Jerusalem Post and the radio stations and television stations throughout Israel reporting on this, reporters in Israel wrote that seeing a severely disabled person the day after a terrorist attack running through the streets of Jerusalem allowed for others to help move forward. It allowed for mothers to let their children go back to school. It allowed for fathers to go back to work. It allowed for people to begin picking up the pieces and moving on. Why is athletics so important? Why is the mission of athletics so critical and so crucial? It is simply because athletics teaches us that we can't spend our days and our minutes and our hours trying to get over it. Athletics forces us to get on with it. Athletics teaches us that we must do what is hard and achieve what is great. Because we come from a heritage, we come from a people, we come from a lineage that hungers for greatness.
What an inspiration, this young man. Tough act to follow. Our next inductee hails from the state of Pennsylvania. As Steve Bilski noted today, Randy Grossman, our next inductee into the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, along with Harris Rappel from our committee.
In the early 1970s, Temple University left the Middle Atlantic Athletic Conference and became an independent program so they could compete against some of the top teams in the East. Randy Grossman was one of the best players to come out of the program at that time and went on to play tight end in the NFL for 8 years. Randy began playing football at Haverford High School in suburban Philadelphia and then went on to star at Temple University. The 6'1" tight end finished his collegiate career with 89 receptions and 10 touchdowns. He was also picked as the Associated Press third-team All-American in 1973, all while assisting the Owls to a 9-1 record. Although he went undrafted in 1974, Randy signed as a free agent with the Pittsburgh Steelers, signing on to a team that included such superstars as Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, and Mean Joe Green. Randy was, as Steeler President Dan Rooney said, someone who did everything you asked him to do. Wearing number 84 for the Steelers, Randy would play a total of 8 seasons, finishing his career with 5 touchdowns, including one in Super Bowl 10, helping the Steelers to victory over the Dallas Cowboys.
That's not me.
Nicknamed the Rabbi, Randy concluded his football career earning rings in Super Bowls 9, 10, 13, and 14. Grossman built a reputation as one of the NFL's most sure-handed receivers, completing 118 receptions and reaching a personal high of 37 during the 1978 season. After his success in the NFL, Randy became a financial and investment advisor for Wealth Management Solutions in 2002, bringing the same amount of passion that he had for the game of football into the economic field. He has commented that his time spent as a football player in the highly successful Steelers organization set the stage for his successes in business. Randy is a true believer that no goal is ever out of reach, a quality that makes him a worthy inductee into the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame.
Randy Grossman. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Suffolk Wye Jewish Community Center and the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame and Museum for my nomination and induction. After reading about all the other fellow inductees, reading about them, hearing the ones that have preceded me, I very much consider myself the runt of the litter here, so I'm very appreciative. I couldn't help but notice when Andrew Bernstein's accomplishments, his images, where is Andrew? Andrew, that, there's a common misconception that white men can't jump. Well, obviously Jewish white men can, because there was one image, I don't know if you remember the image of Michael Jordan. He was going up to dunk, and Andrew must have been above him because the shot was down at Michael. So that was a startling accomplishment, Andrew. Obviously, Richard Bernstein redefines what disability actually is, and who is disabled and who isn't amongst us all. I was a junior in college. In 1972, when the tragedy in Munich occurred. And when Dr. Berger identified that sports is the solution. It is the solution because sports is the great equalizer. You can't hide from the eye in the sky, right, Andrew? Everything is open to see in sports. And competition is the purest that can be accomplished. It's in sports. Garrett Weber Gale in the highlight pictures, when the four guys in the 4x100, they win the gold, they're all hugging each other, they're loving each other, it's a team. There's a Jew, there's Christians, there's blacks, there's black, there's white. That's what sport is all about. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I'm very appreciative of my nomination and acceptance. I thank you all very, very much.
I'm actually blown away by the people who have spoken before me and those who have been inducted. It's been a long time since I've really been involved with lacrosse. More than half my life ago, I stopped playing the game. So when I was called and told that I was going to be inducted to this really esteemed organization, I was sort of blown away. I honestly think of myself now as a cyclist. So lacrosse is great. And so when I got here today and I saw people from my past that just the memories just flow through. I haven't seen Richie in a long time, but it was like we had met and had not been apart since yesterday. Bobby Rule, who played with me on the USA lacrosse team in 1974. That was an interesting era. At that time, you didn't try out for the team anymore. You just got selected. And I was sort of at the end of my career. I was 34, as they said, and I was selected, and I didn't deserve to be selected at that time. But there was no way that I wasn't going to get myself in shape and perform. And so ultimately, we got to the championship game in Australia. It was on July 4th. We were wearing a USA uniform. I mean, you can't even imagine the emotion going through all of us at that time to wear a US uniform on July 4th, if I was far away from home, as you can imagine. And we're down, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 goals at halftime to Australia. They were winning every face-off. I hadn't played much until that point. Bobby Rule was in the nets. Bobby Rule is one of those goalies that just wills balls not to go in. And I ended up scoring 5 goals in the second half, the oldest guy on the team. And then I went home after that because I had a baby on the way, and the team went on to tour the rest of the world. It really was one of the highlights of my whole life, being picked for that team sort of at the end of the career. So very special. As I said, I'm a cyclist now. I work full-time, but I ride a bike a lot. I love riding a bike. I got into cycling because I was heading towards hip replacement surgery, and maybe the cycling delayed it for a year or so, but ultimately I had both my hips replaced, and it's been like a miracle because I'm a physical person and I need that. I ride my bike about 8,000 miles a year. I race. I just have to compete, and I'm afraid someday I'm not going to be able to. So being honored today just brings back such a well of memories that could go on forever. Fortunately, I still have a good memory. I wanted to go over a couple of things, if you'll bear with me. As I said, most of my friends right now are probably in the business world or in the cycling world. And I notified all my friends that I'm getting honored today. I wanted it to be a small group. I wanted it to be family. I wanted it to be some of my college roommates and teammates, people I've known for over 50 years. It's hard to even say 50 years. It's been a long time. But one of my friends wrote me an email that I picked up this morning, and I just want to read it to you because I think it's worth hearing. So his name was Marty Essner. He's Jewish, of course, and congratulations. This may be more impressive than your induction into the National Lacrosse Hall of Fame, simply because anyone can play lacrosse. But it's a lot harder to be Jewish. I thought that was really kind of hit the point because this may be the wrong thing to say, but when I got the notification that I was going to get inducted to the National Jewish Lacrosse Hall of Fame, my honest view, and I apologize for this, was low bar. There just weren't many Jewish athletes in the 60s. There just weren't. And I had an incredibly supportive family all the way through that, and all I had to do was get straight A's in order to play. That was really clearly understood. So anyway, when I was a senior at Baldwin High School, I was enthusiastically looking for the soccer season to start, and we were really expecting to have a championship team that year, and actually ended up losing on a penalty kick to Garden City in the final game of the Long Island Championship. So we went in with high expectations. We had worked incredibly hard as a team over the summer. But one of those games, one of those important games, was scheduled for Yom Kippur, and I was planning to play. My father saw it differently. Sandy Koufax didn't pitch in the World Series on Yom Kippur, and you're not playing in that game. And that was that. In my family, we discussed most things, but that was that. And I didn't play. As a junior in high school, the film was really kind of impressive. I quit baseball to play lacrosse. Baldwin had just started lacrosse. This was in 1960 or 59, and we were in a league called the Novice League. There were incredible teams on Long Island back then, Sewanaka, Elmont, Huntington. But we were a novice team, Uniondale with the great Jimmy Lewis. There were great teams, but we were a novice team. We were learning how to catch, we were learning how to throw. This is not a natural thing to do with a lacrosse ball. Anyway, I was playing baseball, and a lot of my basketball and soccer buddies had gone out for lacrosse because they thought it would be fun. And the whoops and the hollers from the adjacent field, I decided that I'm going to quit the first thing I ever quit in my life. I went home that evening and I told my parents that I was going to go play lacrosse and I was quitting baseball. And my father said to me, "But I just bought you a new mitt." He quickly asked, "What's lacrosse?" And I told him the best I understood, which wasn't much. And despite the fact that he ran a pharmacy in Franklin Square, right near Sewanaka actually, he never missed another game. He never missed a game ever, all the way through high school and all the way through college. And while I don't think I was dependent on him, I can tell you, and I know athletes in the room would understand this, until he arrived at a game when we were warming up, until I knew he was there, I wasn't ready. But when I saw him there, I could turn my attention to the task at hand. And the task at hand was lacrosse. I truly loved lacrosse from day one. It was perfect fit for my skill set, which was quick. And I think lacrosse loved me back and helped me to grow as a person. Because there's a lot of talented people out there, but you have to work hard. And I learned that early on. And I noticed that my wife took an ad out in the brochure. And one of the things I'm probably most proud of, there's quotes there from two coaches. I don't know where she got these, but one was from Richie Moran. And he said, "Nobody ever outworked Bruce Cohen." So I came with a skill set to the game, but I worked and it's affected my entire life. Anyway, I have some wonderful memories that I just want to go over. One is Richie Moran, period. You could go on forever. And it's so great to see him today. But when he inducted me into the Hall of Fame, and he was the person who gave the speech, which was mostly true. You got to know Richie. It was mostly true. It was just an honor for him to do that. I never played for Richie Moran. Most people have connected us really closely, but we played in summer ball on Jones Beach. I brought him to Cornell. I introduced him to Cornell. We've been friends forever. We've been involved with lacrosse, but I never played for him. But he's a very special person in my life. Then there was playing on the USA team, and I talked about that. Again, wearing a USA uniform on July 4th was really kind of special. And then, of course, there was a fellow named Ned Harkness, who probably has influenced my life as much as anybody I can think of. Again, a coach. I wish I could say a professor, but it was a coach. Ned had taken Cornell to national championship in hockey. He is now actually in the Lacrosse Hall of Fame and the Hockey Hall of Fame. And we had a very unfortunate situation happened at Cornell where two of our assistant coaches died in a plane crash after going to scout at Dartmouth. And so we only had a head coach, and Ned volunteered, a different era, different time, he volunteered to help us finish the season. And then he committed himself to coach us the next year, because the coach who was there was going to retire. And this is where it really gets a little crazy, and you have to bear with me on this. Ned actually promised us, now we were a team that was sort of a mediocre kind of team. I don't know if we were 5-7 or 6-6 or 7-5. We were a mediocre team. But Ned promised us, and I emphasize the word promised us, as only those people who would know him. He said, "If you guys work hard and follow what I tell you to do, we're going to go undefeated." Huh? Well, we wanted so badly to believe him that we worked really hard. We ran at midnight through the winter. We played in the horse barns with stuff up to our knees. And we worked really hard. And you know what happened? We went undefeated. We were 12-0. And that kind of thing affects your life. It teaches you how hard work can make a difference. The interesting thing for me is I had already finished college. he was going to stay that extra year, and I was able to stay in a 5-year undergraduate engineering program, and I stayed solely to play for Ned, because I thought it would make a difference. And looking back, it was maybe the smartest decision I had made. Were my parents happy with that? No, they were crazed, but still they supported me, and you know, having a 12-0 year was kind of special. Before I close, I'd like to offer my sincere congratulations to my fellow inductees. I've met most of them face to face today, and it's really humbling to be part of this group. They've done so many incredible things. I want to thank the selection and organizing committee for this honor and for their efforts. Today, and all the communication, the hundreds of emails back and forth, were really helpful to me. I want to thank my friends and family who are here today. Two of my very close friends from college, they were both roommates of mine, Andy Potash and Reeve Vanneman, and their wives Andrea and Janie. I've known all four of them for over 50 years, and we're still close friends. We don't see each other every day, but when we do, we catch right up where we left, and it's just very special. I want to thank my two sisters for coming, Risha, who lives out here in Huntington, and Susan, who lives in Oceanside. My brother-in-law, Alan, who actually nominated me for this honor. My two nieces, Tara and Erin, and their families, thank you for coming. My wife of 45 years, Joan, thank you. God, it's been a long time. My daughter, Heidi, her husband, Reuben, and their two kids. Ellis, are you there? Ellis and Hayden. And my son, Seth, wanted to be here, but his wife is due next week, and that'll give us our 4th grandchild. So it's kind of special being in this situation with grandchildren there. My son is also a coach at Loyola High School in LA, coaches lacrosse, and he does an incredible job. He's the kind of person you want your son to play for. I'm lucky enough to get out to LA every year, and I coach with him for a week, and that's about as close to heaven as I ever want to get. I have many, many fabulous memories, and I feel truly blessed and honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Our next inductee needs no introduction. If you follow the world of gymnastics, we've been blessed with having some terrific Jewish gymnasts over the last while. Unfortunately, she could not be with us here today because she's off dancing with the stars. But our next inductee is Allie Raceman. As we'll learn a little bit more about her, and she'll accept via the video.
Every Olympics has its darling. From the 1980 United States men's
for all the support. This is such a huge honor. I wish I could be there with you guys today, but I'm in LA for Dancing with the Stars. So thank you so much again for this amazing honor, and hope you guys have a great time.
Allie Raceman. Good luck to Allie out there. Our next award, an honoree, is going to be a man that I've known for about the last 5 or 6 years. He grew up right around the block here in Dix Hills, and a guy that I didn't know when he played lacrosse and football at the school my kids went to, Half Hollow Hills. But I knew him after his exploits at Hofstra, where he was an All-American, and got to know him as a human being. And we used the term mensch earlier when we talked about our Dick Steinberg Good Guy Award winner, Boyd Melson. And here's a mensch in my mind, too. We give this award, the George Young Award, generally to someone who is not Jewish. Those of you who have been here before, we've had some incredible people to win this award, individually as as groups. We saw the great father and son team last year, a handicapped runner and so forth, and his father. We've had the Negro Baseball Leagues honored here, as well as people like Bobby Nystrom and great people like Bobby Nystrom and Lou Carnesecca as well. So it's my pleasure right now to introduce the winner of the George Young Award. We'll learn a little bit about the award. The guy I call like a younger brother, a mensch, and he was called by his teammates at Hofstra, I'm told, Hollywood. Maybe he can explain that a little bit later. Right now, let's learn more about the George Young Award and our recipient, Jim Metzger. Jim, if you'll come up to the stage along with Mel Mandel.
George Young would best be remembered for his years as the New York Football Giants general manager, when he was the architect of their Super Bowl championship teams. A Baltimore native, Young was a four-time NFL Executive of the Year who finished his career as the NFL Executive Vice President for Football Operations. The National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame chooses to remember and honor George Young by presenting this award to that outstanding individual in sports who does not have to be Jewish, but best exemplifies the ideals of George Young. James Metzger, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of one of Long Island's leading brokerage and financial services firms, the Whitmore Group, has been a part of the fabric of Long Island and the sports community for as long as anyone can remember. Jim not only played football, basketball, and lacrosse growing up, he was even considered good. Metzger started every game in his 3-year varsity career as a football player at Half Hollow Hills High School, graduating as the school's leading scorer and rusher. He was recruited by some of the area's biggest Division I programs, including Syracuse and Cornell University. On the hardwood, he helped lead the basketball team to the Suffolk County playoffs in his sophomore year. But it was on the lacrosse field that James Metzger excelled beyond all others. In 1977, Jim was awarded the Ray Enders Award as the outstanding lacrosse player in Suffolk, and also earned the distinction of being the leading scorer as well. At the time, he was the only player to be selected to participate in both the North-South All-Star football and lacrosse games. James spent a year at the Naval Academy Prep School, where he was both a star running back as well as the lacrosse team's most valuable player, but injuries forced him to give up playing football. He moved on to Hofstra University during the 1979-80 season, where he continued his incredible lacrosse play. His astounding 4.9 goals per game average still stands as one of the best in school history. His list of sports accolades could continue indefinitely, but James Metzger is also recognized for his immense philanthropic endeavors. As the chairman and CEO of the Whitmore Group, Jim has made sure that much of his charitable generosity goes back to the two institutions where he excelled. Jim is one of the largest donors to Hofstra University, most recently bestowing a $1.5 million gift to the Hofstra Athletics program, where he serves on many of the school's boards and fundraising ventures. His awards given to Hofstra University students and athletes are too long to mention. At Half Hollow Hills High School, Metzger was recognized for being the first Ray Enner Award winner over 30 years ago, and the school also honored him by establishing the James C. Metzger Outstanding Player Award. The National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame is proud to salute Jim Metzger with the 2013 George Young Award.
Let's welcome my friend, Jim Metzger.
Thank you very much. Richie Moran, his name keeps popping up, said that, I thought you forgot about me. Richie said I'm the dinner speaker. I'm not Jewish, nor am I a former great athlete, nor am I famous. It begs the question, what am I doing here? A lot of people ask me, I have the Hofstra athletic director here who presided over between 7 or 9 national championships, and Seth Tierney, the head coach of Hofstra lacrosse. It's good news for them that after listening to the other inductees, why do I do what I do? Sometimes people ask me, why have I given back to athletics and why have I given back to sports? And frankly, I don't have to answer that question anymore. Richard Bernstein answered that question for me. I hear this is going to be on tape, and I'm going to cut it and splice it and use. I don't need more than Richard Bernstein. I mean, I think he said it so well and said it so passionately. Without athletics, in my own mind, I'm really nothing. It was athletics that gave me the foundation and gave me the base and the self-confidence that really made a difference in my life, in business, and in so many ways. When I accepted the George Young Award, I had no idea what was in store for me. And forgive me, Barry Landers wrote a speech for me today. Richie Moran wrote a speech for me today. I wrote a speech for me today. I've thrown them all away pretty much, and I'm going to wing it, as they say, especially after being inspired by the other inductees. But let me do this. I want to thank the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame for the 2013 George Young Award. I'm flattered. It's greatly appreciated. I want to congratulate the other nominees who I've already said have inspired me, those nominees with whom I'm totally impressed. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming out here today to make it a show. Without you, it's not quite the same, although I've been known to make speeches with no one listening other than my mother. This award really, when Barry called me and told me I won the award, I told him, "That's great, Barry, I'm flattered, but I'm not Jewish." And then Barry informed me that I could be, that you could be a non-Jew. And I gladly accepted the honor. Well, I have a number of people in the audience today that came great distances to see me. And I would be remiss if, once again, Richie Moran, the three-time national championship coach, National Lacrosse Hall of Famer, famous, legendary, affectionately known as the Electric Pair, was at a charity function last night. He raised close to $100,000, and after about 12 o'clock at night, he made his way back down to Long Island from Ithaca to join today to support this event. So Richie got in a car. Fortunately, he wasn't driving. And he arrived at my home in Point Lookout at 4 o'clock this morning. He called me at 12 o'clock last night on the phone, and I had another gentleman with me, Paul Sannett, whose bar mitzvah I attended 40 years ago. Paul flew in from San Diego, I think in part to have the bagels too. We had a very busy weekend with reunions at Hofstra University for both my high school, Half Hollow Hills, as well as Hofstra University. We had about 70 former players, teammates there. But Richie called us at about 1 o'clock and started talking about a variety of subjects, all within under the umbrella of lacrosse, and went on to talk for about an hour. So at sometime around 1:30, my good friend Paul Sannett from San Diego fell asleep and he was snoring, and Richie commented that he was disturbed by the noise in the background. He could barely hear me. So at that point, I told Richie I'm going to go to sleep, and I slept on the couch. And I asked him for his arrival time. He told me 3:59. That's what the driver told him. And I swear to you on the Bible, he arrived at my doorstep, Richie, at 3:59. And he told me that he had written my speech on the way down. And he was doing a 48-hour. He didn't want to go to sleep. But he's here today along with a number of other people. I can't mention all of them, but just a few very quickly. Vinny Sombrado is here, a former teammate of mine at Hofstra University, one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time, 4-time USA player, and 4-time USA champion, as well as a National Lacrosse Hall of Famer. I have a number of teammates from Half Hollow Hills High School and from Hofstra University here, All-Americans Bob Quinlan, Joe Murad and Jim Miller, two outstanding football players from Half Hollow Hills. Jim Miller went on to Colgate University, where he played on two of the greatest teams in the history of Colgate. again, based on what the other inductees had to say regarding the passion of sports and how much that means, I can assure you that it resonates with me in a way that it never has before. I just relate to them so much, and the bond that we have and the camaraderie that we build and all that it's meant to us in our lives is uniquely special. But this award, I had great fun with this award, and it has great meaning as well. I went to high school around the corner at Half Hollow Hills. I count many Jewish friends, former classmates, teammates, and friends that I've had lifelong relationships with. And when I won the award, and there were a number of press releases issued regarding Metzger and Cohen. Cohen and Metzger make the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. Metzger and Cohen inducted into the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. My assistant, who is here today, sent an email to my contact list, and I asked her rather meekly, "Did you mention it could go to a non-Jew?" And she said, "No, I just sent, I sent out the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, that you won the George Young Award." Well, the next 3 days or so, my phone it was on vibrate most of the time, and it was just, it burned a hole in my buttocks. A third of my contacts think I'm Jewish, a third I'm not sure, and the other third just want to talk to me about what in the hell is going on. I really felt myself explaining. It's almost like I feel like I won the Heisman Trophy. It's been so popular. Barry and I were up at Hofstra Stadium 2 weeks ago. We were watching the game, and Barry wanted to bring me over. He was leaving at halftime to go to the hockey game, and we said hello to the Newsday writer, and the writer immediately stood up and said, "What's this with the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame?" And the person sitting next to him, Bob Schwab, the former Hofstra golf coach and lacrosse official in my era, said, "Jim, I want to ask you the same thing. You're not Jewish, are you Jewish?" And I said, "Barry, you want to answer the question for me?" And so then someone finally stood up, a man of reason, and said, "Hey, listen, it's like the old commercial. You don't have to be Jewish to love Levy's, real Jewish rye bread." That's the truth. So, Barry and I were just talking about the award and how many people are inquisitive about it and asking me about it. It's been a lot of fun. I'm flattered. I'm honored. I think, again, growing up in Dix Hills, attending Hofstra University and Half Hollow Hills High School, having such an affinity for so many Jewish people, and developing so many friends. When my buddy Paul Sannett and I were kids growing up, his father was the coach of our football team. The biggest difference between us is we had Christmas and he had Hanukkah. We had the 8 days of, and we had a big Christmas tree and got more presents at once. I mean, beyond that, at those ages, it really was about friendship and kinship and teammates and sports. Of course, we grow up and we move into the real world, and our perspectives are dramatically altered, and we realize that the world is a very different place from the warm and fuzzy Dix Hills in which we grew up. And in many ways, that makes it even more special for me, the George Young Award, and because of those relationships and because of the foundation and the broad scope that I think I developed by virtue of that. The sports, without taking too much more of your time, I think sports are, without question, the great equalizer. And so much has been said previous to me about how much sports mean to the inductees and the other honorees. And I think in a very private way, they reaffirmed what I've been doing and my contribution to sports because of the ways that it's touched my life and the ways that it's so special. This morning, my nephew came in, along with my beautiful mother and her husband and my pretty niece. My nephew played yesterday. My greatest claim to fame is one of my best friends, Vinny Sombrado, is one of the greatest players of all time, and my nephew is one of the greatest college players of all time. He broke the all-time Ivy League scoring record yesterday, and he is one of the top 4 scorers in the history of college lacrosse, Robert Cannell. He is as much responsible for my reconnection with athletics and my support of Hofstra University and Half Hollow Hills. He plays the same position, and I watched him from a young man. He was a late bloomer, and he developed his game, notwithstanding his skill set and this gene he has to play the game at the highest level, but his heart, his work ethic, his discipline, his ambition has inspired me and has reminded me, is a constant reminder for how much I benefited from my background in athletics, the confidence it gave me, even though I think I was dealt a straight flush in terms of talent. I played it into a pair of 6s, but I learned from it, and it was still the foundation. It gave me an inner confidence and just made me feel that I was a little better than the next guy, and the guy next to him, and the guy next to him. And it was the foundation upon which I built my sales career, my marketing career, and my business career. In closing, I want to reiterate how proud I am to win this award, how much it means to me, and I wish the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame nachas in the future, as you strive to inform and educate people how many Jews have made contributions, how many Jewish athletes have shown, and to inform people about the great contributions the Jews have made to society and to this country. Mazel tov. And to paraphrase the Levy's Real Jewish Rye Bread commercial, you don't have to be Jewish to appreciate the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you.
I might add, although Jim is not a modest man, he is one of the greatest philanthropic people that I've ever met. Aside from what he does for Hofstra and Half Hollow Hills, he is so much involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters here in Long Island. He was honored by that organization. He's going to be honored by the Heart Association here later this year. And he has given much of his time and financial support to the youth programs in Hempstead to teach minority youngsters the sport of lacrosse. So, good friend, and Jim, congratulations. If Marty Glickman were here, he would be proud of Jim Metzger, proud of his accomplishments, proud of what he's done after his career.
Marty Glickman enjoyed great success as a collegiate track star and football player at Syracuse University before beginning a prominent career in sports broadcasting. For anyone growing up in the Northeast in the 50s and 60s, Marty's radio accounts of football's New York Giants and basketball's New York Knicks were familiar music. A pioneer of basketball broadcasting, when Marty retired, he became a teacher of the craft to many of today's broadcasters. In his honor, we award the Marty Glickman Outstanding Jewish Scholastic Athlete of the Year. A strong hardwood competitor from Sioux City, Iowa, Jackie Callan has certainly seen many ups and downs during her career at the University of Northern Iowa. Heavily recruited out of Sioux City North High School, Jackie championed her squad to the state finals and was honored as the Metro Female Athlete of the Year by the Sioux City Journal, in addition to being named her school's class valedictorian. The start of her college career was just a continuation of her high school activities. She was recognized as the Missouri Valley Conference Freshman of the Year and led her Panthers team with over 13 points per game. An ankle injury caused her to sit out her sophomore year, but she returned the following year, starting in all 33 games. As the Missouri Valley Conference's representative for the Division I Athletic Advisory Committee, Jackie has continued to work with numerous charities and intercollegiate committees during her time at the university. Currently pursuing her master's degree in kinesiology and sports psychology, Jackie has never let an injury keep her down. Although she suffered a torn ACL before the start of the 2012 season, Jackie persevered, and with another year of eligibility granted, there was no stopping her. With a career-high 37 points against Missouri State, this two-time most valuable collegiate player of the week has earned the record of Northern Iowa's all-time leading scorer. In addition to her community service and basketball achievements, Jackie has excelled academically as well. She was honored as the Missouri Valley Conference Scholar Athlete of the Year and a second-team COSIDA Academic All-America. Truly a fine example of what the Marty Glickman Scholar Athlete of the Year Award stands for.
And we welcome Jackie Kaling to the podium.
Thank you. Honestly, just to be here today among the company, hearing the stories and meeting many of you in person is just amazing. And then to be standing up here now talking to you is truly an honor. So I would just like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for the selection to this award. Just recently, back at home, I was kind of asked by somebody who was interviewing me just to reflect on my career and then, let him know if there was a moment or an award or anything that I was most proud of. And it didn't take me long to answer him. I immediately brought up this award, which means so much to me, not only because it grasps accomplishments from an athletic and academic standpoint, but because it's awarded to Jewish athletes. And that is something extremely important to me. I'm very proud of my religion and my heritage. I have the opportunity because of that to participate in the Maccabiah Games this summer. The chairman of the women's basketball team is here today, Carl Goldstein, and one of our assistant coaches, Lisa Fishman. So I'm extremely excited to be playing in Israel this summer. And also again to be the recipient of an award named after somebody with such an incredible story and incredible career means more than I can put words to explain. I would quickly like to thank the family that's here today on my behalf. It means a lot to have you here. My older brother Michael is here, and he's getting married in 2 weeks. I'm excited for him. But he's marrying someone named Becky Lambert, whose great aunt is Margaret Lambert, who there is an award named after today. And Becky's family is here. And so it's amazing to me just the connection and what a small world we really do live in. I'd also quickly just like to thank my head college basketball coach who was in one of the photos, Tanya Warren. She came out here all the way from Iowa with us today, and she knows more than anyone I would never be standing up here today without her. And then of course my mom and dad, thank you. Obviously there have been ups and downs throughout my career, sustaining 2 season-ending injuries, and I wouldn't have been able to battle through both of those and come back the way I did without you. So thank you again, thank you for this honor.
Second recipient of the Marty Glickman Outstanding Jewish College Scholar Athlete of the Year is Daniel Haber. Daniel has become one of the NCAA's most feared soccer stars. As a junior, the 5'10" Haber made 18 goals in 17 games on the Cornell University soccer squad and was named the Ivy League Player of the Year. His goal and points per game average were also good enough to lead the nation in those categories. But more importantly, the Toronto, Ontario native had 5 game-winning goals for Cornell's Big Red. Arriving on campus in 2010, Daniel made an immediate impact on the team, starting in 14 games. In his sophomore year, Daniel led the team with 9 goals and has continued to be a team leader throughout his collegiate career. But the fact that Daniel even has a college career is a greater story, one he prefers not to discuss, but it needs to be told. As a youngster, Daniel developed what many thought was a sinus infection. He received medical treatment and began to feel better until he noticed a lump on his forehead. With his 12th birthday just 5 days earlier, the prognosis went from what was believed to be just a sinus infection to being diagnosed with a brain tumor, requiring hours of dangerous surgery. Like a true athlete that never gives up, Daniel recovered from the cancer surgery, and with help from his family, friends, doctors, and nurses, he was back on the soccer field and playing ice hockey just 3 months after the surgery, picking up right where he left off. And while Daniel eventually returned to the sport he loved, he also returned to the hospital that cared for him. As part of his bar mitzvah, Daniel attempted to help children in the hospital cancer ward, but was denied because he was too young. Undaunted, he eventually returned and began volunteering at the hospital, giving back to those in need and to those who saved his own life. The 2009 Maccabi Games participant is a true inspiration for all who have overcome adversity, and he is certainly a worthy recipient of the Marty Glickman Outstanding Jewish College Scholar Athlete of the Year.
We had some wonderful athletes to choose from. Just to let you know, it was a very difficult choice. We had a young man who played for Davidson College named Jake Cohn, who was the Southern Conference Player of the Year, among others. And we had the Tewartin Award winner, which is the top award given to the lacrosse player in the country. And that was Mr. Baum from Colgate University. But our selection committee came up with Daniel Haber, and I'd like to welcome his father and his mother up to the stage.
Good morning and thank you. I'm Laurie Haber and I'm Daniel Haber's father, and with your permission I'll just read some brief remarks from Daniel. And he wanted to thank you all for what he said he hoped was a wonderful introduction, and it certainly was. And to tell you that it was an absolute pleasure and an honor for him to receive this award. And after doing some research on the Marty Glickman Award, he learned that he was going to be in the company of some exceptional Jewish athletes who've excelled in their sport. As an athlete, and I'm speaking for Daniel now, if you'll permit me, as an athlete growing up in Toronto, I aspired to compete at the highest level possible. And thanks to the efforts over time of organizations in Canada with mandates like the Hall of Fame, being Jewish was never a hindrance to my advancement as an athlete. But I know that things were not always that way. And I'm grateful for the efforts of those who paved the way and leveled the playing field for all Jewish athletes. And as you saw from the video earlier, what Marty Glickman and his teammate Sam Stoller had to suffer and endure in relation to the 1936 Olympic Games, both the overt anti-Semitism and the response of the U.S. Olympic team at the time were shameful. And it's through the continued vigilance and good work of the kinds of people involved in this organization at the Hall of Fame that what happened is hopefully a thing in the past. And Daniel was very fortunate, and he wants me to tell you that he was fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to play college soccer at Cornell University, where he spent 2.5 wonderful years and was able to participate and help Cornell get to, in his junior year, a nationally respected program, ranked in the top 20 teams in the nation, and he was glad to be able to be part of that success. And as you may know, after a very successful junior season last fall, Daniel had the opportunity to try for several professional teams overseas. He decided that the timing was right for him to start a professional career, foregoing his senior year of college soccer eligibility and taking an indefinite leave of absence from Cornell in the middle of his junior year was a tough decision, but given the circumstances and with the support of his family, he decided to pursue his dream to play professionally. And Daniel accepted an invitation to try out for Maccabi Haifa Football Club, which is one of the elite teams in Israel's Premier League, and after a challenging tryout period, signed his first professional contract. And so he apologizes, we apologize on his behalf for not being here to attend and receive this honor personally, but he is in Israel, and has obligations to his team, and his team is in the hunt for a league championship and a berth in European soccer for next year. Daniel also wanted us to tell you that he'd had several opportunities to compete over the years with other Jewish athletes in the past. Twice was fortunate enough to attend the JCC Maccabi Games here in the US, and in 2009 represented Canada at the Maccabi Games in Israel, and those were experiences he cherished. Daniel wanted us to tell you that as a Canadian, it is really very, very flattering for him to be receiving this honor in the United States. He's proud to make a good name for Canadian athletes here in the US and hope that others will follow. And he and myself and my wife Irina have many friends and family and close ties in the US, and it really feels like being home here, and we appreciate you all honoring us. Daniel wanted us to tell you that he was humbled to be recognized along David Berger, and that having participated in the JCC Maccabi Games and part of the opening ceremonies there, that it's a special tribute, and Rena and I really were quite honored to have breakfast this morning with Dr. Berger and his family. Quickly concluding, Daniel wants to let you know how lucky he feels. He's at the exciting start of his professional soccer career. He's playing the sport he loves, and he gets to do it in Israel. And today he's had the special privilege to be recognized by the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to all of the other inductees and honorees. It's really an honor for Daniel to be in their company. And finally, thanks to Lynn Kramer, Alan Friedman, and all of the committee members for organizing this event and inviting us and making us feel very welcome. Thank you.
Congress Patel from our committee up here with Mr. Merlin. Our next award will go to, or the next couple of awards will go to outstanding high school athletes. One of the most impressive people that I met in my life just celebrated her 99th birthday last Sunday. And those of you who may have ever seen the HBO documentary Hitler's Pawn, or had a chance to meet Margaret Lambert here many years ago when we inducted her into the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, you know she is an inspirational story. So we're delighted to name our award this year and for the future. The Margaret Lambert Award will go to the Outstanding Female High School Athlete of the Year. And this year, it is Jennifer Horowitz, a wonderful fencer, which is a sport that Jews have excelled in, particularly on the female side recently, including Olympic champions. And she hails all the way from California. So let's meet our Outstanding Female High School Athlete of the Year, Jennifer Horowitz, and Evan Whitney from our committee to join her on stage.
It takes a tremendous amount of time, energy, and dedication to a sport to become one of the best there is. And for that to be taken away from you at the height of your career can be devastating. For Margaret Lambert, the dream to be the best high jumper in the world was taken away just prior to the 1936 Olympics by Adolf Hitler. In her honor, the Margaret Lambert Award for the Outstanding Female Jewish High School Scholar Athlete of the Year goes to Jennifer Horowitz from the Archer School for Girls. Fencing since the 3rd grade, Jennifer has begun to take the fencing world by storm. Training at the Los Angeles International Fencing Center under world-renowned coach Nana Demirchian, Jennifer has represented the United States in fencing competitions in France, Germany, Sweden, and Slovakia. In January, at the World Cup in Dijon, France, Jennifer finished 11th, defeating the Italian world champion. Since winning her first national championship for the United States Fencing Association at the age of 12, she has dominated every category she competes in. In the spring of 2012, she won the gold medal at the United States High School Fencing Championships, and her next conquests could take place in July at the 2013 Maccabi Games in Israel. As an 11th grader at the Archer School, Jennifer is very involved in a number of school activities. She has a passion for journalism, just as strong as her passion for fencing. In her freshman year, she became editor of her high school newspaper, the first freshman ever to hold that position. And if that isn't enough, Jennifer is committed to working on the hunger problem in urban America, engaging in various community projects for the Angel Harvest organization. Jennifer certainly stands for everything that Margaret Lambert, the oldest living Jewish athlete for the 1936 Olympics, stands for. She is another great example of a successful Jewish woman athlete for everyone to watch for in the future.
And let's hear from Jennifer Horowitz.
It's a great privilege to be here with so many fantastic Jewish athletes and to be honored with the Margaret Lambert Award. Although Mrs. Lambert's sport was high jumping and mine was fencing, it turns out we share a very special bond. And when I learned about her life, her story inspired and motivated me. In my freshman year in high school, I was on a roll. Having won 3 national championships, I had qualified to represent the United States in the Junior World Cup circuit. It would be the first time I would fence overseas and the first time I would compete among athletes from around the world. And the success I had garnered domestically, I hoped would be repeated abroad. But I wasn't winning. Despite all my hard work, I had a disappointing run in Geneva, then Grenoble, Slovakia, and Gothenburg. I began to wonder if I had what it could take to win internationally, to question if I could keep going or if I should give up. And then came Laupheim. One of the last World Cups of the year was to be held in a small town nestled in the south of Germany. My mom and I slept overnight in Munich, woke up at 4 a.m., and drove 3 hours on the Autobahn to unheralded little Laupheim. Traveling through the German countryside, we passed the sign for Nuremberg, Dachau, and other towns I had always associated with World War II, the Nazis, and my own family's Holocaust loss. Though the countryside was beautifully picture perfect, it was hard not to be reminded of the stark black and white wartime imagery I knew so well from my work at the Museum of Tolerance. It was actually strangely unnerving recollecting the terrible evil that had occurred in this location. I didn't know what it was about Laupheim, but somehow, for some reason, something clicked. I began to win. For the first time in Europe, bout after bout, my European bloc was slowly but surely turning around. When I was nominated for the Margaret Lambert Award, I thought I'd investigate her story a little bit to learn about my award's namesake. I watched a video she made about her life in pre-Holocaust Germany. I was astonished that her birthplace was in the town where my European rebirth had taken place as a competitive fencer, Laupheim. And when I heard the details of Mrs. Lambert's life, I felt so proud to be winning an award named after her. Mrs. Lambert had achieved what most athletes can only dream of. She made the 1936 German Olympic team, and then 2 weeks before the Olympics, even though she held the German high jump record, she was thrown off the team. Her crime was that she was Jewish. I can't even imagine the pain and disappointment of working so hard to make the Olympics, only to be denied participation because of one's religious faith. And yet, Margaret Lambert never gave up. She moved to the United States and just worked harder. She became not only a high jump champion here, but also a champion shot putter. The fact that I had such a powerful Jewish and athletic experience in Mrs. Lambert's hometown felt a little bit like a shared. Whenever I encounter difficulties and challenges in fencing, or even in life, Mrs. Lambert's example will be a source of strength and inspiration for me. I'd like to thank my parents who are both here today, who have not only supported my passion for fencing, but have encouraged me to learn about my Jewish heritage and history as we travel. I am deeply grateful to Alan Friedman and the Hall of Fame Committee for this honor. Learning about the work that's done here at the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame and Museum has been especially enlightening. And of course, I wanted to express my great appreciation to Margaret Lambert for this award, who celebrated her 99th birthday. It will encourage me to work harder in my sport, my education, and work in my community. Thank you so much.
Well, you see we're in pretty good hands for the future people like we've just met here today. We have renamed our award that will go to the Outstanding Jewish High School Athlete, male athlete, and we're naming it the Sid Luckman Award. Sid Luckman, as you'll see in a moment, was one of the greatest Jewish football players of the 20th century. And I personally had a chance to meet him. From Ohio, a terrific wrestler. Let's meet Sammy Gross and have Evan Gittler from our committee up here as well.
One of the mission statements of the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame is to foster Jewish identity through athletics. For Chicago Bears quarterback Sid Luckman, who many consider the greatest long-range passer of his time, this is certainly true. In an era where Jewish athletes were few and far between, Sid was one of the best. In his 12 years at the helm of the Bears, they won the national championship 4 times. The National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame is proud to honor this athlete with the Sid Luckman Outstanding Jewish Male High School Scholar Athlete of the Year. One of the state's best wrestlers, Beechwood, Ohio's Sammy Gross, who began wrestling at the age of 5, earned state champion as a junior in the 113-pound division. Beginning his senior year, Sammy set his sight on the Beechwood High School all-time record of 153 victories. That year, he had an incredible record on the mat with 99 wins and 11 losses. He concluded his senior season with the championship and Most Valuable Wrestler in the Lower Weights Award at the Bison Kickoff Classic, winning 5 matches in a total of 7 minutes and 12 seconds. Sammy would also win the league championship in his senior season with a convincing 20-7 victory in the final match. Sammy reached the state championships this year, but was upset in the semifinals, losing 6-3 after a questionable call. And while Sammy is a very accomplished athlete, it is in his stellar schoolwork where he also excels. A hard worker and goal-oriented individual, Sammy has maintained a 3.5 grade point average through high school. His athletic and academic prowess make him a worthy recipient of this inaugural award.
Sammy, if you come up here to make a few comments to the audience, I want to let you know that 2 things. One of the greatest wrestlers in this country was a Jewish wrestler by the name of Henry Wittenberg. He was one of our inductees into the Hall of Fame. He was an Olympic coach, a 3-time Olympian in the 40s and early in the 50s, and he's in our Hall of Fame. I want you to learn about him and read about him because he was just unbelievable. And also, you may not know that David Berger, who we've heard, of course, from his dad before, also hails from your high school, the same high school in Ohio. So let's hear from this wonderful young man right now.
Well, I first want to start the speech off with saying, in my family, there's a tradition that sometimes members of my family tend to ramble on, and if you tell a bad story, they put their arms in a circle. It's called the story man, which means you have to acknowledge you have a bad story. So my speech is hopefully going to last under 60 seconds, and if it sucks, just I'll make the circle for me. I just think it's a great honor to be recipient of the Sid Luckman Award. Such a great Jewish athlete and football player, and just to be here, it's a great honor. And I really want to thank my athletic director and his brother Ryan and Scott Peters, who nominated me for this award, the committee for approving the award for me, and my parents and grandparents who are all here today. Thank you guys.
Well, that pretty much concludes our program for today. I would invite you to walk through the Hall of Fame, walk down to the hall.